Okay, hello everyone. Thank you all for registering and joining this webinar. I am Joydeep Datta, Director of the Product Development associated with Kovair for last 12 years. We are very pleased to announce that members from 13 countries have registered, which is very encouraging from Kovair's standpoint. We are happy to have Ashok Agarwal, the Senior Director, Global Business Systems Limited, which is a Philips company in the Silicon Valley area, who has been a former Senior Director of IT at Intel for more than a decade. As a part of the presentation team, we have Shomanil Chaudhary, Senior Manager, Customer Solutions, and Krishna Devashram, Senior Database Expert from Kovair. To start with, Ashok will share a presentation followed by a live product demo. The demo will be in two parts by Shomanil and by myself. In the first part, we will cover the data lake portal, and the later part, I will cover the connectivity with EasyBI and the reports. Then we will have a Q&A panel discussion including all four of us. Next, I hand over the control to Ashok Agarwal.
Thanks, Joydeep, and thanks everyone for joining this webinar. So we are living in a very exciting time of technology revolution, and data is all over the places. Data is changing our business, how we run the business today, how we run the business tomorrow. Each and every aspect of the business is touched by the data, whether it is the manufacturing, marketing, or any other part of the business. And now this is started touching the ALM space also. This topic of today, we will cover about how the industry trends are changing, how the environment is changing, what is the power of data and data analytics are, and then we'll go into the more deeper into the Kovair architecture, and from there we will take you to the Kovair demo of Data Lake. Now, when industry is changing and changing the trend, the amount of the software content in the world is significantly increasing. And when it is increasing, is the competition also increasing in this space? We need to enable the additional revenue through additional application and existing hardware platforms. So if you look into the companies who are doing the hardware software, they are not just in a hardware, they are hardware and a software both putting together. There are more open source providers out there. There are more and more third-party IPs people are integrating in their software. And the market-specific software configurations are keep going in there. So there are many trends are going on in the market industry area that is posing many challenges for the people. Ensuring the capability of hardware and software stacks seamlessly integrate. Time to market pressure is continue to increase. The development life cycle continue to reduce. Managing the product defects is becoming a critical part of the entire project life cycle. The more we shift left in terms of solving the product defect faster, we reduce the time to market. Communication between the independent developer organization and the hardware software organization is critical and is the base of all the product development. Now, these challenges are, while putting the challenges, also providing an opportunity for our ALM space. Now, if you look into another angle of the environment, there are roughly 20 tools out there which do the integration. There are 400 tools in the market which take care of the ALM platform. There are 6, and then if you look into the project space, the study says that 68% of the projects fail as per the PMI estimate. And we are having roughly 60 million project managers. And then you are having, if you take an average 6 to 8 people per project, we are talking about $1 trillion we have spent on the project every year, which sometimes not go as successfully as we'd like to see. Either project is not going on time, or projects are delayed, and we are not having a clear visibility of the projects. And because of that, either company do more investment in the projects, or scope is reduced, or it takes a longer time. So keep all those things in mind. Is the project manager who is managing 20 odd tools for a given project doesn't have end-to-end traceability and predictability. Now, if I see this from the power of data and analytics, how industry is changing in this space, if you see artificial intelligence, market predictability is largely dependent upon data and data analytics on top of that. If you go into the manufacturing space, similar trends you can see. More and more manufacturing is driven out of the data and analytics. And even if you go into the healthcare, which we used to say healthcare is behind in terms of the data, but now they are ahead in this space. Do we have some similar scenario in the ALM space? Well, ALM is the center of universe now in terms of driving projects, but still we are not up to that level of maturity in the business. Now, if we want to be successful in this space, most of the companies who are getting mature and spending the time and money in this space, they focus on the 6 areas in setting up their integrated ALM platform. The first is ALM provisioning studio. Yes, we need to use multiple tools, multiple technology underneath, but at the same time, if we do the provisioning of those at the common platform, we know what is going on which tool and how we can trace those kind of things. The second step we do is a tool-to-tool connectivity. We make sure there are the 2 tools seamlessly talk to each other. So if you are doing a project management in one place and defect management in another place and source code management in third place, you have a seamless integration going on nowadays where you can see the data in the different places seamlessly. Then you are having a traceability. Then you can trace where my product went from the requirement all the way to the delivery. Now, all these things have been evolved over a period of time in the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years or so. But the new concept of data and data mining and data lake and analytics on top of that is new concept in this space, where you take all the raw data, put it into the data lake, and then put it analytics on top of it. What did this provide to you? This will help you get you end-to-end traceability, and you can do the deep dive analytics on top of that so that you can reduce your defect rate, you can make it a time to market faster, and so on and so forth. And then there is a last aspect of this is the DevOps. It's not last, but it's more critical in this spaces. We follow the DevOps method so that we are faster in delivering the product into the market. Now let's move into the Kovair Data Lake, how Kovair Data Lake architecture is built. Simple, elegant, and yet very powerful concept here. Now while you are keeping it all the tools in a place, ALM tools, whether it is agile or requirement, source management, build process, all those things. There are two ways you can do the data lake implementation in your organization. One, you can use the Omnibus Kovair platform where you can bring the data through the Kovair with the mapped and connected way. When I say map and connected way, we are talking about between two tools, we have a mapping established, we have connectivity established, and all structured data is moving to the data lake with the end-to-end traceability and so forth. Now, there another way you can put the data there, which is you're directly putting data from the tool to the data lake. So there are two different concepts of putting the data into the data lake, one going through Omnibus Kovair platform, another going directly into the data lake, but this raw data is sitting into the data lake. Once you have all this data sitting in data lake, you have a power of analytics, power of looking data end to end, and making a decision for your business. Once your data is there, the next step comes into is how we want to utilize this data. To utilize this data, you can have a portal on it, you can have a business intelligence on this, and you can have artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on and so forth. All these are built on top of the Kovair platform and beautifully used in many business industries and started to revolutionize the business space. Now, what are the Kovair component in this is? There are 5 key components of this is. One is, of course, is a depository, central depository of the raw untouched data, and you can have the connectivity through extractors. So you have extractors who bring the data into the depository. You can have a portal, that's another area of Kovair offering is. Another is a data view model and APIs to extract the data. And Somenil will talk more about this and give you the demo of each components I'm talking about here. Now next is, what are the key features Data Lake provides as of today? There's a single depository for the data for all tools, real-time graphical interpretation of the data. Now, when you have the raw data, to understand very effectively, you need to have a graphical representation of that, and Kovair provides that seamlessly to you. And single web interface for monitoring and controlling. You have a data with the SQL Server 2016. Support data model and unmapped data. So it's support data model, unmapped data, and has the capability to help you map this data so that you, between the two, you can take the value of this. Export data from CSV format. If you have a data sitting in a different tool and you can extract into the CSV file, you can load those data into the Kovair. So it's a variety of ways this platform can be filled with the data coming from different sources, whether it is a structured or a tool directly connecting to it, or you are using extractors, or you are having a CSV file. Those can be filled in here. And then it has a powerful connectivity with the EasyBI. So you can have an EasyBI portal with this, and you can generate all the reports into. Of course, there is an inbuilt solution, inbuilt portal, inbuilt reporting out there. In addition to that, you can use the EasyBI on top of that. Now, what major value propositions are in this is there are there are four major value proposition is a single depository for map and unmapped data. It provides easy BI. It provides out-of-a-box integration for easy business intelligence, allow users to create different conditional data model on top of the raw data. Without taking too much of our time on this material, let me hand over to Somenil, who is going to give you a more demo of the product.
So thanks, Ashok. So I'll take it from here. So you heard Ashok talking about the Kovair Data Lake and its 3-tier architecture. So in the demo, we will focus on tier 2 and tier 3 of that architecture. That is filling the data lake with raw data and connecting to the data to perform analytics. Data lake being a repository. So a user needs to have a user interface to interact with it. To configure the features for doing different kinds of data management activities like viewing statistical information of the data, perform analytics, several other activities are involved. So with this view, Kovair has developed this data lake portal, a 100% web-based application that users can use to interact with this data lake. Now, since data lake is an ocean of data, this portal keeps pulling smaller and logical chunks of data from the data lake at a particular frequency of interval, which later can be used in deriving meaningful reports and matrices. Now, coming back to the product demo, we will showcase this demo in 2 parts. In the first part, I'll demonstrate various dashboards as well as discuss the major components required to set up for the successful working of this data lake. And in the second part, I'll hand over to Joydeep, and he'll demonstrate how you can create different data models in the portal and how those can be used to perform analytics. So let's get started. So let me log in as a valid user. And here is the summary dashboard, which provides a consolidated information of all mapped and unmapped data that has been pulled in during the last 90 days. So there is a scheduler running in the background, responsible for pulling the data from the data lake at a particular interval frequency. Though it's not hard-coded, you can set it to the interval as you want. And on top, you can see the date and time when this last poll, the data was last polled onto this portal from the data lake. Now let's focus on the top 4 gadgets. The first one shows the total volume of data being pulled into this portal since its inception. The second one shows the volume of data fetched into this portal in the last polling session, which is November 14th. The third one shows the count of the contributing extractors that have contributed to the data whose volume is shown in this previous gadget. The fourth one shows the percentage growth of data that has occurred due to the additional injection of data that has been done in the last poll. Now let's drill down a bit to get some more detailed information. So down below on the left, you can see the highlights of the last 90 days where you can get to see the extractor-wise data extraction by each of these 5 contributing extractors. Basically, it's a breakup of the information shown in the second and the third gadget above. The list is organized in and sorted in the order of maximum data contributed by them. So here you can see the Kovair ALM extractor, which is the ALM Studio, and Kovair KDemo2 is an omnibus extractor. So mapped and unmapped data both are getting shown from the single summary page. Further on the right, you get to see the list of top 10 contributors, which is grouped by the extractor the tool, the project, and then by artifacts. So these are all based the data that has been pulled in the last polling session. Now, the obvious question that might come into your mind at this point is, out of this consolidated information, what's the volume of mapped data or what's the volume of unmapped data? Isn't it? So is there a way to find that? The answer is yes. And very similar to this summary dashboard, Kovair Data Lake portal provides dedicated dashboards for showing the data extracted by mapped and unmapped extractors. So first, let me get to the dashboard for the mapped data. Yeah. So this page shows the information related to the mapped data extractors only. Information like the volume of mapped data fetched into the data lake since its inception, the volume of data fetched in the last poll, who has been the contributing extractor, or what has been the percentage growth due to the mapped data injection in the last poll. All these information can be seen from this page. Additionally, you can also get to see the detailed breakup like extractor-wise data distribution, as well as who are the top 10 contributors available for this page, which is responsible for the data volume that you can see in the second gadget. Very similar to this one is the dashboard page for the unmapped data. So here you can see the summary information of unmapped data, and here you can see the total volume of data ranging for 49,587, which is the data that is coming right from the beginning that the portal was installed. The volume of last fetch data, that means on November 14th it was being fetched, 27,131. There are 4 contributing extractors, Kovair ALM, which is pulling data from the ALM Studio, the Kovair ALM Studio application. Then you have the HP Quality Center extractor, who has been responsible for fetching 5,000 records. And also there is Jenkins and another Kovair ALM, which is another, I would say, a project of HP Quality Center. Similarly, further details of the top 10 contributors you can see over here. Now let me go into the connectivity diagram to show you a holistic view of the data lake and its extractors. So this gives you a visual representation of all the mapped and the unmapped extractors that are currently connected to the data lake. At the center you can see the data lake. Left to it are the mapped extractors, and to the right are the unmapped ones. So this gives you a complete view of the current data lake scenario with all the extractors connected to it. So now let's focus on the configuration setup and see the various components that are needed to configure a data lake with its extractors. So let me go into the setup, and these are the objects that need to be set up for the successful working of a data lake along with its extractors. So first let us go into the data lake, and here you can see the name of the lake to which this portal is currently connected to. Going into the details, and you can see the server name represents the SQL Server instance that the portal resides. The authentication that has been used, whether it's SQL or Windows for connecting to the lake, the security credentials with which the portal connects to the database, what has been the data lake repository, so you specify it from here, and you also specify the associated database for report, which is actually an intermediate database which is being used for summarizing information for publication of the volume information or the information that you saw in the previous dashboards which I showed you. Additionally, you get to see the data fetch period, which refers to the duration that is to be considered for preparing the data set that is to be pulled from the data lake to the portal. So currently you can see the data duration is set to 90 days. Now, coming to the extractors. So this is the page where you can see the list of all the different extractors, and you can see that these are all active extractors. At any point of time you can make them deactivate, and actually deactivate one remains as dormant and will not be responsible for pulling in any data from the data lake or any other tools. You can edit or you can delete an existing connection. Additionally, you can set up a connection for a new extractor as well. So for that, you specify the extractor name, you specify the service type, whether it's mapped or an unmapped. So if this extractor is responsible for connecting to the Omnibus platform for fetching data, so it would be the service type is to be set to mapped. Whereas, if the service type, if the extractor is supposed to pull the data from any of the disconnected tools, whether it be Jira, whether it be Jenkins or HPALM, so that you define the service type as unmapped. Next, you specify the server name, in which the SQL Server instance where it will be residing, the authentication, whether SQL or Windows. You specify the login and the password to connect to that SQL instance. And finally, the repository that this extractor will connect to store its metadata. So in that way, once you set up that connection, it will be available on this list, and you can further work on this particular extractor, and it will keep pulling the data as the status remains active. Now, I'll go into, leave the model storage and model to be taken care by Joydeep later, but I'll go into talk about some more about the users. So Data Lake allows you to manage users in the portal itself, or you can also be connected to the Active Directory to import ADSI users. Now, as far as the local users are concerned, so you have the option for creating users of two different privileges. Whether you can create a user with that user's privilege as admin, or you can create it as a simple user. A user created with a user privilege is having lesser privileges in the application, and it doesn't get much of the setup options to work and configure it in the data lake that an admin privilege user has. Now, apart from the local users, you can also set up Data Lake to connect to your Active Directory in your organization. So you can actually connect to your AD, and you can pull your ADSI users so that they can use their domain credentials and they can log into the Data Lake using that credential. So now, with the data residing in Data Lake right now, we would like to see how we can effectively use this data in performing various analytical operations. So with that, I now hand it over to Joydeep to take you through the second part of the demo, or more on reports and analytics.
Hello. Thanks, Shamanil. So thanks for the wonderful demo where you showed us that how data get into the data lake from multiple ALM tools. Now let's get deep dive into the data lake, how we can use the data within the lake to bring some meaningful metrics. So what we did here is we have tailor-made some scenarios to showcase you. But to start with, we have something called a model storage. Now, what is a model storage? Now, model storage is nothing but a repository which is a subset of the data lake. What we are trying to achieve here is that to create your meaningful metrics, you don't have to browse and swim across the lake and get data across the huge ocean. you can bifurcate your data from the lake based on your query and your filters and put into a physical repository, and there from which you can create your meaningful metrics. So Kovair has an interface for it. So here we have a sample a model where I'm saying that's an alias, it's an SQL Server base. So anyone can create a model storage. You provide an alias, name, authentication, login, and password. So I'll not go detail into this stuff, but rather focus more on to the data. Once the storage is there, that means you have the placeholder to hold the data. Now comes the model. Now what's a model? Model is a logical bucket of data. We can assume it's like a data mart which is being derived from a data lake. We all know that data lake is a superset of data warehouse. In warehouse, we have data being filtered, transformed, and cleaned. In lake, we have data in raw format and as is. So here, model can be considered a kind of a mart where you create your own bucket, you define your own attributes, and you select your tools and converge your data into it. So here I have a couple of models here. So if anyone wants to create a model, click on the model, you give a name, say I want to give a name called a demo model, and I have a storage, means which storage I want to put the data, and I can define my own attributes, just like I say ID, I can say title, I can say status, and if I say add, those will be added and it will be saved. So I'm not going to save. So this gives me a bucket. Now, how will I fill the data? I have the bucket, I have the storage, how will I fill it up? So for filling this up, what one can do is that one have to click in this options and say entity mapping. So what's mapping is this? Mapping means nothing. Mapping is that I am selecting my model, I am selecting the lake from where I want to bring the data, I am selecting the tool. Say for example, I have data on Jira, so it gives me a Jira instance and the project name, and I select bug. The moment I do that, it gives me all the attributes of the bug that has been fetched from Jira into the lake. On the other side, the model fields are nothing but the attributes defined by me. So I can map them into that. So this gives me a mapping. So if I want to have a model where I want to have data from Jira and HPLM that we did here. So you can have a model called defects, and you can map bugs from Jira and defects from HPLM, and then put it to inside. Now once we have this model, Kovair Data Lake, each of these models are exposed as an REST API, means external tools. Especially I would rather focus on emphasize on saying that any BI tool generally provides a gateway of feeding the data. So in case of EasyBI, it takes data from three sources. One is Jira, because of its Atlassian product. It takes data from SQL, and third, it takes from REST API. Now, to consider this as the data source, how one can input the data and what kind of data can be seen in Data Lake portal, I'm going through it. So let's go to the menu called portal, and here I click on EasyBI. The moment I click on EasyBI, it shows me the list of reports directly from the EasyBI. So here is the first dashboard where what we did, we integrated with Jenkins. So in detail, I would say that we have an extractor for Jenkins. So Extractor, as mentioned by Shaumanil, is nothing but Windows-based service built on .NET, uses publish APIs of Jenkins. It is fetching the data from Jenkins and putting into data lake. So what we did, we create four reports where we are saying that, okay, show me the distribution of the build success and failure. So this is the report on the left hand side, we got it. And you can always show it in a graphical format as well as in a textual format. If I click it in textual format, it goes to a textual format. Similarly, what we had also done is that we are showing the job distribution by status. Similarly, what we have is that a defect analysis. Now what we did here, we all know that Jira has defects. It's called bug. HPLM also has bugs. Now what we did is here, we clubbed all the data into a single bucket and created a couple of reports. So what we are doing here is that we are creating a report where we saying, show us the defect by tools by status. So now if I want to see that, okay, this is my distribution of 44%. Now I want to know what is this green part. So what I can do, I can click on it, I can say drill down, I can say entity, and I click on it. It gives me, okay, this comprises of defects. So what are the defects? So there are 18 defects. So the reason being showing like this way is that we want to show you that, okay, we are importing the complete capability of the reporting feature of EasyBI into Kovair. Similarly, what we have done is that we have a report for requirement analysis. Similarly, what we did, we have taken Epic from Jira and requirement from HPLM, and then we merged them into a single bucket, and then we have created those graphs. Now the question is that how we do that. Now we are saying that Kovair Data Lake portal has an out-of-the-box seamless integration with Data Lake with EasyBI. And Kovair Data Lake portal provides a complete interface. But before going into the interface, how we can import, what we can do, let's go into EasyBI. So this is an EasyBI interface I have already opened for me. So in EasyBI, when you start working on EasyBI, you have to create a couple of projects. There is no concept of projects or accounts. So accounts are nothing but buckets. So we have a couple of them here, and one of them is called Kovair Solutions. So now, if I have to integrate with Data Lake portal, what I have to do, I have to create an account. Automatically, it creates some of them, the users, data source, and reports. In the data source part, I can select any one of them. So to start with, let's do something very simple thing. Let's go to the home and say create an account. And we say a demo account. And we give something dummy text, and we say it's a public. The moment I create it, it asks me that, okay, this account will get data from where? It's from Jira, REST API, or SQL Server. That's what I was saying. So before going into this direction, which will take much longer time, let's go into some of the pre-configured one. So the one that we are talking was that Kovair Solutions. If I go to the source data, you will see there are a couple of REST API endpoint that has been set to get the data. So let's go down and say, for example, if I select one of them, say if I select, say edit, what it does, so it gives me the URL. So what is this URL? This URL is the Kovair endpoint for the REST API. So Kovair REST API can be considered as an complete wrapper which gives the access to the data lake, the Kovair Omnibus, as well as Kovair LM. So this is the interface, and this interface has to be set. 8 is the model ID. Moment I do this, I have to say that okay, there is no pagination or with pagination. What kind of header parameter it uses? HTTP header. And Kovair API works on token-based authentication. So one has to generate a token into the API, and token has to be set. Data can be retrieved in the format of JSON or XML. So in this case, we are retrieving the data in form of JSON. So that's why we have selected JSON. $model data underscore REST is the parent node object. Now REST API allows you to convert the data into a format by which data get understood by the EasyBI. So we have written a JavaScript here. The reason being writing a JavaScript here is that Kovair API returns the data into name value pair. But in terms of EasyBI, it understands the data into name value pair instead of it understanding a row column. So we have to write some kind of a script which loops around the data and transpose the data into row column and row column. And that is why we have written this. Once that has been done, now EasyBI can understand the data, and then it can consume the data, and then it allows you to create a dimension. So now, before going inside, one has to do login into it, create an account to it, set the data source, and then one has to create a dimension. So to create a dimension, one has to go to analyze. So analyze is nothing but it gives you the list of reports that you want to create. So here are a couple of reports that is already has been prepared there. So you can see that, okay, so this report has been done based on this dimension. So we are not going into much detail of this into this EasyBI, but what we are trying to tell you that, okay, if you know a little bit of EasyBI and then you design your and do your analysis, then using the data lake portal can be very easy for you. Now, what is the utility of using the data lake portal? Because the same reports can also be seen into the EasyBI. So now you can have hundreds of accounts and hundreds of reports, and then your users and you do not want maybe your users or department-wise users go into the data lake and see all those reports. So rather than what you can do, you can define dashboards into the Kovair Data Lake portal and segregate them so that they can view it. Now, let's go to the last part of it, how we can import the EasyBI reports into data lake very easily. Let's go to the setup and then let's click on EasyBI reports. Okay. Now, so when I click on EasyBI report, it shows me already the dashboard that already been configured. Now, if I tomorrow have to define a new report, what I have to do? The first thing is that you have to click on import. Import gives me already list of imported reports. But say, for example, if I don't have a report or I have couple of reports created newly into EasyBI and I want to import it. So what's the way to do it? So let's take the EasyBI URL and click on add report. So I click at this and I give my login and I write, hopefully it works. Okay, the moment I log, when I give my details and it is authenticated, it gives me all the accounts that is there. So if I compare it, let's go to EasyBI. See, Kovair Solutions, Kovair Engineering, Kovair Testing, and others. So all are here. So when I click on this Kovair Solutions, it gives me all the cubes that I have. So let's go to there, and it gave me all the cubes that I have. So when I click on the cubes, based on the cubes, I can have my report. So I can immediately, before going importing, I can generate those reports. I can see the reports, and then only I can import it. So this gives a complete flexibility for a data lake portal user to import the data, check the data, and then use it. So let me disconnect it. So in this way, we can also use the EasyBI into our data lake. So I think I have covered more or less all the aspects of EasyBI integration, including Kovair API with the data lake portal. Yes, we also have some other reports like health reports. So these are reports which generally shows you the volume of data for a given entity or for a given project. Okay, so I think that's all from my side. Now we are very much open for any Q&A. So let us check if we have any questions. Okay, we have one good question. So someone asking that, okay, the data lake works on data. What kind of data we work on? Okay, primarily data are of two types. One is structured data, one is unstructured data. Structured data means each of the data has a data type and it can be structured in RDBMS. Non-structured data like chat data or any social media data. So currently, Kovair Data Lake works on the structured data. Thank you. Okay, another question. Can we connect multiple data lake from the portal? No, as of now, no. Each of these data lakes are connected to a single portal. We are now envisioning some new things. In this December release, we are enhancing some of the new features. But to answer your question, no. Okay, another question. Yes, extractors are extractor Windows service. So can yes. So the question is that can be an extractor be used for multiple Jira projects? Yes. To answer your question, there are three primary things that one has to remember regarding an extractor. An extractor is a very native to a tool and its version. Extractor can connect to multiple same project of a same instance, multiple project from multiple instance. So to answer your question, yes. Okay, we have another question which saying that does Data Lake support HTTPS and TLS? Yes, currently Data Lake support TLS 1.2 since HTTPS is now getting obsolete and people are now moving to TLS 1.2. Yes, we support it. Yeah. So what are the so the next question is what are the reporting tools we get connected? So currently we have a connection with EasyBI. Yes, in future we will definitely look into some other popular analytical tools. I cannot name it now, but yes, definitely we have a plan on it. Okay, let us wait for some other Questions? No, we have no more questions. Okay. Okay, I think that's all from our side. So from Kovair side, we would like to thank you everyone and giving us this opportunity to share our ideas and our new product line. Thank you everyone. Have a nice day.